quick question, can you tell the difference between these two runs? No? Well, the one on the right is approximately faster, beating this old run by a mere 160 milliseconds. Anyway, here's a long ass intro, skip to this if you want to skip it. Today, I'll be discussing the history of Capture the Intelligence speedruns, from the attempts it's made to analyzing barely any detail because this video is satire. Anyway, this is the history of Capture the Intelligence speedruns, from the amazing runs that every runner has attempted to amazing time saves, as well as the strategies that was never used, as well as the current world record being, you know, pretty humble. This is... ...1937. The first computer was Wait, what? Ah, shit, wrong script. Alright. My bad, guys. November 1st, 2023. Capture the Intelligence is released on GameJolt for free. Almost immediately, the game is popping off with plenty of TF-tubers making videos on it, as well as some others in the mix, you know, making the game even more popular. The 1.1 update releasing just about a month later in November 21st at basically the peak of popularity, making it even more popular with even more YouTubers making videos on the game. This was when on November 27th, the first speedrun to be verified onto the speedrunning website was created, being verified just 3 days later on November 30th. This was when a new mod at the time entered the scene. Lakey was just accepted as a super moderator for the game, finally allowing speedruns to be submitted and verified and put onto the leaderboards. Due to Lakey being the first person to ever submit a speedrun, he held the world record by only 3 days before a person finally overtook him. His name being... Now, Alex Magnum came in and beat Lakey by almost an entire minute. Alex Magnum's run being 4 minutes and 38 seconds, while Lakey's lagging behind with a time of 5 minutes and 14 seconds. The major difference between Alex Magnum's speedrun and Lakey's is very clear. Lakey is very inexperienced, such as in the 4th level he does really poorly even with the RNG factor of the level. As well as even dying to the engineer part or section or level, whatever you want to call it, which really shows that he is very inexperienced. Unlike Alex Magnum, who had a pretty good strategy in the 1st level, going through the right path since the heavy usually patrols around the left area, as well as being faster in the 4th level due to him calling the medic to his location at strategic times, which led to the time of 4 minutes and 38 seconds, beating Lakey by basically an entire minute due to Alex Magnum's strategy of calling the medic to his location. Unfortunately, Alex Magnum wouldn't hold the record for long because just exactly 2 minutes later, he was defeated by Hypercam 2 enters the speedrunning scene, defeating Alex Magnum by yet another minute. This is due to his strategy in the 4th level, where he calls medic at the right times, as well as his RNG being extremely good since he didn't encounter the scout at all in his run. Another interesting strategy was him going to the right as well, but picking a slightly faster route than Alex Magnum, giving him a few seconds ahead of Alex Magnum. And a neat thing to think about was that due to Hypercam and Alex Magnum submitting their runs basically at the same time, it's possible that they were competing in real time. It's actually really probable that these two were speedrunning Capture the Intelligence at the same time, which is absolutely insane to think about. Anyway, now, although this run was absolutely insane in terms of time saves, he would only hold the world record for only 2 days before Alex Magnum swoops in, defeating Hypercam by only 2 seconds. Now, unlike Alex Magnum's first run, he instead goes through the left side of the map, making him a second ahead of Hypercam. But the most important detail here is in the 4th level, where he calls Medic really early, giving him a few milliseconds ahead of Hypercam. Now, unlike his first run, he has an actual idea of his strategy in the 4th level, which is really similar to Hypercam, but due to his head start in the 1st level combined with his Medic calling strategy in the 4th level, he fortunately defeats Hypercam by 1 second and 990 milliseconds, thus giving Alex his rightful title of world record holder. After he was defeated in 2 minutes by Hypercam, Alex reclaims his throne, his profile picture being a pretty good representation of what he would have looked like when he defeated Hypercam. Unfortunately, Hypercam 2 and Alex Magnum, after Alex Magnum defeated Hypercam 2, they were both never heard from again. Despite them being absolutely legendary runners, giving absolute breakthroughs in the speedrunning community for new runners to analyze, they were never heard from again. Despite being the few oldest runs in the entire community, Alex Magnum holds his position at 3rd place today, while Hypercam lands himself in 5th today. For now, let's travel back in time 2 days before Alex defeated Hypercam. There were 2 new runners who entered the scene, approximately right after Hypercam claimed his throne. Nick Naldo and APQH1 entered the scene. Nick Naldo, a promising runner with his first run being 4 minutes and 42 seconds, almost beating Alex Magnum's first run, but falling short just 4 seconds. Nick Naldo was absolutely promising, his run being absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, due to his bad RNG in the 4th level, coming close to death multiple times, he somehow managed to do it with a good time, placing him in 3rd place at the time he submitted his run. On the other hand, APQH1. He was the absolute opposite of Nick Naldo, his run being a pitiful time of 6 minutes and 16 seconds, an even worse time than the first one ever by Lakey. This is due to the fact that he's basically not actively speedrunning at all, not even pressing shift, and his bad strategy in the 4th level, it's a miracle he managed to even complete the run without dying somehow. And this was APQH1's only run, leaving him in last place. Even today, he is in last place at number 10. And this was his only run, unlike our hero Nick Naldo. Though he will become a bigger deal later on, so please watch till the end of the video to see what becomes of our hero Nick Naldo. For now, let's go back to where we left off. Alex Magnum defeats Hypercam 2 and disappears. And for a while, it seemed a bit peaceful. This was until exactly 1 minute later, a new runner barges in, and his name was
Rich People Shit, Billionaire Shit, Rich People Shit, Trillionaire Shit.
December 4th. Alex defeats Hypercam 2 and is now nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, a new runner named Goldpool suddenly barges in with his time of 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Although not enough to defeat Alex Magnum's magnum opus of a run, it does leave him in 2nd place at the time he submitted his run. If only he had been 200 milliseconds faster than Alex Magnum, then he probably would have defeated Alex Magnum. But unfortunately, due to him bumping into walls, he lost to Alex by a mere 200 milliseconds. Unfortunately, due to his failure of defeating Alex Magnum, he fell into obscurity. Meanwhile, Nick Naldo, he trained for 2 days since its first run, and he improved insanely. His run now being 4 minutes and 23 seconds and 900 milliseconds, a 20-second improvement to his first run. However, this is not the end of his journey, for he will continue to train and improve. Meanwhile, Nick Naldo is on his training arc. On December 14th, 10 days since Goldpool failed to defeat Alex Magnum's run, another new runner comes in. The receptionist guy came in at December 14th with a time of 4 minutes and 23 minutes and 510 milliseconds, beating Nick Naldo's run by 400 milliseconds. His run isn't special other than the fact that he does a bit poorly on the 4th level by not calling medic at all. And in the 1st level, he decides to chase with the heavy instead of calling medic to distract him, whilst his friends talk about keyboards or something in the background. I don't know. It's honestly a bit embarrassing for Nick Naldo since he was beaten by a guy who did, pretty poorly in the first level. But not to worry, because in his training arc, he improved insanely after his 12 days of training. So, on December 16th, Nick Naldo returns from the lands of Speed Ruins after he studied the scrolls of speedrunning. He returns with an impressive time of 4 minutes and 9 seconds and 630 milliseconds, absolutely destroying the receptionist guy after he had been bested by him, while Nick Naldo was gone. Our hero has returned and is now here to defeat the world record holder. And although his first one was against the one who had bested him, the receptionist guy who had absolutely no chance against Nick Naldo, he now turns his head to the peak of the mountain, where the castle, which was ruled by Alex Magnum's run, lay dormant. And so, Nick Naldo climbed, and once he reached the empty castle, he found no one to fight, as Alex left his castle long ago. And all that remained was Alex Magnum's run, the only thing stopping Nick Naldo from taking the throne. And so, Nick Naldo strikes. His strategy in the first level of Capture the Intelligence goes from the left and safely escaping through the right path. The strategy was insane and gave him an insane leg up against Alex Magnum's run. He did it. He was ahead of Alex Magnum, and now all he needed to do was defeat the run killer as stated by the receptionist guy. And he manages to do it. He was blessed by the RNG gods for not encountering the scout, as well as his impressively timed medic calls. He did it, defeating Alex Magnum's run by an insane 3 seconds, which is absolutely insane to think about. This was it. Nick Naldo had won. He had trained for this, and now he has his throne, his rightful place as the world record holder. For Capture the Intelligence was his. And this is where he lay, his castle run by only himself. But something was off. He considered why Alex Magnum had left the castle. And for mysterious reasons we'll never find out about, he left the castle himself, leaving only his run to be challenged by new runners. And so new runners came, unable to defeat the masterful play done by Nick Naldo. And so, this was his last run. And so he remained the world record leader for almost an entire month, as no new runners came to challenge his run. But on New Year's, on January 15th, 2024, a certain person came to challenge his run. His name was Gordox, or Gord0x. He was unfortunately very inexperienced, and on that fateful day in January 15th, he fell. His time was a pitiful 5 minutes and 49 seconds, a full 2 minutes behind the legendary Nick Naldo's run. Now, whilst Gord0x failed, a certain man showed up. He commended Gordox for even attempting to battle Nick Naldo's world record run. And so, while Gordox did not manage to defeat Nick Naldo, it was the stepping stone for a man named True Lol Bruh. After seeing Gordox's bravery and attempt at defeating Nick Naldo's run, he was struck with inspiration and soon began his training. And after 15 days of training, True Lol Bruh entered the castle to challenge his run. And although he failed on his first round, with a lacking time of 4 minutes and 16 seconds and 630 milliseconds, he would not give up, for he went back to training for 20 days, training intensely, until eventually he climbs the mountain and returns to the empty castle. The world record run made by Nick Naldo, awaiting to be in battle. True Lolbra strikes with his first level strategy, mainly going through the left side, so he had an intense advantage with finishing the first level in a sub 1 minute and 9 second run, which was absolutely unheard of at the time. And soon enough, his training paid off, as in the fourth level, he loses a few seconds, but then thanks to his time save in the first level, it did not matter. As long as he sped up in the fourth level, he should be fine. And fine he was, as he absolutely destroyed the world record, defeating the legendary Nick Naldo's run by a mere 2 seconds, achieving the first ever sub 3 minute and 50 seconds, with his time being 3 minutes, 49 seconds, and 630 milliseconds. And with Nick Naldo leaving the castle, he was never heard from again. And with Nick Naldo, who had left the castle long ago, there was no one to challenge him. True Lolbra defeated the legendary Nick Naldo and was now the world record holder. And this is where he would remain for 3 months, till now. He is still the world record holder, and he lives peacefully in the castle. It was recently, but he even became part of the moderators of the entire speedrunning community. And life goes on. A few challengers came here and there by a man named Martin Sade. Martin Sade challenged his run on April 30th with a time of 4 minutes and 1 second and 15 milliseconds. Just 20 seconds away from defeating his run. For now, though, he remains in his castle waiting for anyone to oppose him. Waiting for someone to finally defeat his run. This was the history of Capture the Intelligence Speedruns. I am Durkee, and thanks for watching. Bye!